What's up, Slingshot owners? Brandon here at SlingMods.com, and today we have our dual battery kit for the 2020 newer Polaris Slingshot. If you're running 12-volt mods on your Polaris Slingshot, such as our UnderGlow Lighting Kit, or perhaps an aftermarket stereo system, then it's probably crossed your mind that the factory Slingshot battery isn't really intended to run mods like these with ignition off for an extended period of time. If you do, you face the risk of potentially leaving yourself stranded with a dead battery. So to address this issue, we've partnered up with a team over at TricLED to bring you guys a dual battery kit for all 2020 newer Polaris Slingshot models. This kit features a custom designed aluminum battery tray to mount a secondary battery at the rear of your Slingshot. You'll also get all necessary power and ground cables, an inline fuse holder with fuse, plastic looming, and most importantly a VSR, also known as a voltage sensitive relay. Now this VSR allows your primary battery to automatically start charging your secondary battery when the primary battery voltage exceeds 13.3 volts, which is essentially any time your engine is running or anytime your Slingshot is parked with a battery charger on it. You'll notice that the VSR has a little LED indicator light on it that will illuminate when the 13.3 volts is achieved, indicating that you are now charging your second battery. Now when your engine is off and your primary battery dips below 12.8 volts, the VSR will detect that voltage drop, turn the LED indicator on the VSR off, and will automatically stop charging your secondary battery to ensure your primary battery is always charged and ready to start your Slingshot. Now let's answer a few questions you might have. First, should I use my front battery or my rear battery to power my aftermarket 12-volt mods? Well, if you're running aftermarket 12-volt mods or an aftermarket fuse block such as our FZ1 or Neutrino, you should now use your rear secondary battery to power your aftermarket accessories. This will keep your primary battery up front reserved for starting the engine. Next, if I want to run a battery charger when my Slingshot is parked, which battery should I install it on? You can technically connect it to either battery, but we would recommend connecting it to the primary battery in the front of the Slingshot, since this is the battery used to start your engine. Now when the battery charger is connected and reaches 13.3 volts, the VSR will automatically open the relay to allow the other battery to start charging as well. So you can essentially charge both batteries with just one battery charger. Now, what brand of battery do you recommend for the secondary battery? The kit is actually sold without the rear battery included. The reason for that is because we know that some of you prefer a certain brand of battery. The kit, however, was designed specifically for the MotoBat AGM battery that we offer on our website. Now what's cool about this battery is that it's actually the same exact battery we offer as an upgrade to replace your front Slingshot battery. So if you prefer to upgrade your front battery at the same time you're adding the dual battery kit, you'd simply grab two of these MotoBat batteries at your time of purchase, one to upgrade the front and one for the rear battery tray. But you can of course keep your stock battery up front if you prefer to do so. Now if you have any additional questions, please leave them in the comments below and we'll be happy to answer them. So now that you know what this mod is and what it can do for you, allow me to walk you through the installation on one of our Shop 2020 Slingshot R models. Now if you're going to be using our MotoBat AGM battery with this kit, start by attaching your battery post to your battery using the screws from the kit and a 4mm Allen wrench, tightening them down so that they're nice and snug, making sure not to over tighten. Then you can thread on the other two screws to the top of those posts, just a couple of threads for now. Now insert your threaded battery hold down rods with the threaded end facing up into these two small holes on your battery tray. Next, position your battery in between the rods with the post facing the open space on the tray. Then place the rubber strip directly in between the rods over the battery. Now take the two plastic adjustable clamps and adjust them to the width of the battery, sliding it down on top of the rubber strip so that it sits nice and snug. Then place the washers over top of the outside holes of the adjustable clamp and lift the rods up through the clamp and washer, threading on the wing nuts so they're nice and snug, making sure not to over tighten. Next, take your VSR and align it over top of the battery tray where you want it, and then use a marking pen to mark the holes on the bottom of the cover plate. We'd recommend adding some protective eyewear prior to drilling. Then, take a 1/4-inch drill bit and drill 2 holes on those marks you just made. Now take your VSR box and unscrew and remove the 2 terminal nuts inside. Then route the black ground wire through the hole on the side of the cover, and then crimp on the ring terminal to the end. Next, take the long red cable from the kit and attach it to the terminal closest to the ground wire, marked with the red dot on top of the terminal post. Then, attach the smaller red cable to the other terminal post, tightening down the nuts so that they're nice and snug, making sure not to over tighten, before attaching the cover to the bottom. Now you can line up the holes on the VSR box with the holes we drilled earlier. Slide the 2 8/32 bolts into the holes on the VSR, down through the battery tray, adding the 2 included nuts to the bottom, tightening them down with a 9mm wrench and Phillips head screwdriver so that they're nice and snug, making sure not to over tighten. Now you can take off the rear access panel by popping off these 4 push pins. If you don't have a push pin removal tool, we do have these available on our website. And then sliding it down and off. Next, take this little metal clip and slide it onto this tab in the frame, and use a marking pin to mark where the hole is. Then slide the clip up and off, and use a 7mm drill bit to drill a hole where that mark is. Now take some sandpaper or a file to remove the paint from the frame, and then slide the clip back on. Now you can slide in your battery tray assembly, then attach your U-bolt up from underneath around the frame bar and through the battery tray, adding the top strap, followed by the washers and nuts, tightening it down so that it's nice and snug. Next, take the stainless steel tie down and slide it up through the battery tray and around the frame, carefully using a pair of pliers to pull it tight, securing the tray to the frame, and then cutting off the excess. Now use the plastic looming to wrap your long red cable, and then cut off any excess. Next, begin routing the end of that cable up towards your front battery, making sure to follow the frame rails and plastic tub until you get to the front cross member, where you'll then weave it in between the holes and across to your battery, while at the same time keeping it clear of any and all moving parts. Now peel back a small portion of the plastic loom, and then make a clean straight cut in the cable 12 inches from the end. And then strip the end to expose the wire underneath. Next, take the inline fuse holder and unscrew both end caps. Strip the end off the 12-inch piece we just cut off. Slide on one of the end caps, followed by the little red grommet. Then partially unscrew the set screws in the inline fuse holder, just enough to slide the end of the red wire onto it, and tighten it down so that it's nice and snug. Then slide the end cap and grommet on the rest of the way, tightening it back down to the inline fuse holder. Now take the other end cap and grommet, slide it onto the other end of the red wire we cut earlier, and then insert it into the other end of the inline fuse holder, tightening the set screw down till it's nice and snug, before sliding the end cap and grommet onto the inline fuse holder and tightening it back down nice and snug. Next, take some electrical tape and wrap the end of that red cable. Now go back to your rear battery and connect the short red wire coming off your VSR box to the positive terminal on your rear battery. Then, attach the short black cable from the kit to the negative terminal of your battery, and then the other end, along with the ground wire coming off the VSR box, can be attached to the clip we added to the frame earlier. Now go back to your front battery and disconnect the black negative cable first, then the red positive cable. Next, peel off the electrical tape from the end of the positive wire we ran earlier, and add the new red cable with inline fuse, along with your red positive battery cable to the positive terminal on your battery. And then reattach the negative cable to the battery. Now before we go through and zip tie all our wiring, we need to first test the system. Now remember that this system charges the rear battery when the front battery exceeds 13.3 volts, which will happen when the engine is on or when you're running a battery maintainer like our battery minder we sell on our website, which I'll link for you in the description below. Now, so that we can show you exactly how this works, we've installed a battery minder on our front battery. But before we plug it in, let's test our battery voltage on both the front and rear batteries to see their voltage level before the charger's connected. Okay, so now that we have our baseline voltage readings, let's plug in our battery charger. Now if everything goes according to plan here, the VSR light should turn red once the front battery voltage reaches 13.3 volts. Okay, so as you can see, the VSR light is now on, and you can see the battery charger is also charging the rear battery, and the rear battery voltage is increasing. Okay, so now that the test was successful, there should be enough wire looming in your kit to go back through and cover any remaining positive wire that's exposed at both the front and rear batteries. Now when you zip tie the remaining looming in place, make sure that your wiring is away from any hot engine components and that it's up and out of the way of any and all moving parts. Lastly, reinstall your battery access door on the left rear end of the Slingshot. And there you have it, folks. If you want to run your aftermarket 12-volt mods with peace of mind, then be sure to head on over to SlingMods.com today to grab a secondary battery kit for your 2020 and newer Slingshot. And don't forget to smash that like button if you like what you see, subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so I can keep you up to date on everything Slingshot. I'm Brandon, signing out. Till next time.